Bobby Walker, a successful sales executive at GTX, lives the American dream: high salary, sleek Porsche, golf club membership, and a beautiful suburban home with his loving wife Maggie and their children. He's confident, even arrogant, and takes pride in the life he's built. But his world is turned upside down when GTX initiates massive layoffs due to declining stock value. Bobby, despite being a top performer, is among the first to go. At first, Bobby is in denial. "This is temporary," he tells himself and everyone around him. He polishes his resume, calls in favors, and attends networking events. He's certain something better is around the corner. "I'll be back on my feet in no time," he reassures his wife. But reality doesn't cooperate. When he breaks the news to his children at Thanksgiving dinner hosted by his working-class brother-in-law Jack, Bobby tries to act nonchalant. But when his daughter prays for him to find a new job during grace, the truth hits home. Jack offers Bobby a job in construction. Proud and still clinging to his corporate identity, Bobby declines. "Thanks, but I'll pass," he says, still believing white-collar work is the only valid path. Meanwhile at GTX, high-level executives James Salinger and Sally Wilcox strategize about further cost-cutting. Gene McClary, a senior executive with decades at the company, pushes back. He proposes alternatives to layoffs, cutting executive bonuses, investing in innovation. "There's a way to save jobs," he argues. But James dismisses him. The market doesn't care about loyalty, it cares about numbers. Bobby's job search stretches from weeks to months. Maggie, practical and grounded, begins to push for changes. She suggests selling their home or accepting Jack's offer. Bobby resists. "I'm not working construction," he snaps. But the signs are clear. Their savings are dwindling, credit card debt is piling up, and possessions begin to disappear. The Porsche is repossessed. The golf club cancels his membership. The walls close in. At one point, Bobby lands a promising interview for a mid-level position. It pays far less than what he made at GTX, but offers a way back. With a referral from a former colleague, he feels hopeful. But days later, he receives a call. They've decided to move in a different direction, another rejection. Bobby's facade begins to crack. Elsewhere, Phil Woodward, a middle-aged GTX employee who climbed the corporate ladder from the factory floor, is unceremoniously fired by Sally. Shocked and angry, Phil feels discarded. "I gave 30 years to this company," he says, voice trembling. He returns home unable to face his wife. He tells her it was a severance package, not a firing. Gene, too, is blindsided by a layoff notice. After years of loyalty and millions in savings for the company, he's cast out. His identity, built around the job, begins to crumble. He grows bitter and disillusioned with the corporate world he once defended. Back at home, Bobby's son offers to sell his Xbox to help the family. Maggie picks up extra work. Eventually, Bobby's pride collapses under the weight of responsibility. He takes Jack up on the offer to work construction. On his first day, Bobby is out of place. His hands blister. The physical labor exhausts him. A co-worker quietly gives him an old pair of gloves, a small but powerful moment of solidarity. Bobby begins to respect the value of hard work that isn't tied to a suit and tie. Over time, Bobby adapts. He wakes early, learns to swing a hammer, and shares laughs with the crew. Jack, ever the wisecracking brother-in-law, ribs him constantly, but also quietly admires his grit. One day, Jack gives Bobby extra pay for no reason. Bobby protests. Jack smiles. Consider it a bonus. Meanwhile, Gene reconnects with his estranged family. He visits his son, tries to repair his marriage, and begins contemplating starting something new. Over dinner with Sally, she suggests they collaborate on a new venture. Gene declines. "I'm done following orders that hurt people." Phil's story takes a darker turn. Humiliated and hopeless, he attends interviews where he's rejected for being overqualified or too old. He ends up working at a warehouse, a sharp fall from his previous stature. One day he shows up at the GTX building drunk and angry. Days later, he tragically takes his own life. The news shakes everyone. At Phil's funeral, Bobby, Jean, and former colleagues reflect on the cruelty of the system. He was loyal, and they broke him, Jean says. This isn't how it's supposed to be. After months of struggle, Bobby gets a call about a new opportunity, a VP position in Boston. He's skeptical but intrigued. Maggie is cautious, worried about more disappointment. Still, Bobby travels to Boston. He arrives early, checks into a motel, and waits for the interview. He's asked to return the next week. Frustrated but patient, he stays. Meanwhile, Jean finalizes plans to start a shipbuilding company, McClary Maritime Associates. He calls Bobby and offers him a position, recognizing Bobby's transformation. "You're not the same guy who used to wear cufflinks to breakfast," Jean says. "You've got grit now." Back home, Bobby helps another out-of-work friend, Danny, land a construction job. Bobby's learned to value people not by their job titles, but by their effort and integrity. Eventually, Bobby returns to his family and shares the news. He's taking the job with Jean's startup. Maggie is relieved. Jack jokes, "You finally figured out how to swing a hammer, and now you're going back to suits." Bobby grins. Different kind of hammer this time. In the film's closing scenes, Jean rejects a lunch invitation from Sally, who now sees value in the humanity she once dismissed. He's focused on building something better, something fair. In their new office, Bobby and Jean gather a small team. They sit around a modest conference table. Bobby addresses the room. "We work hard here. We value each other, and we never forget what it felt like to be on the other side. It's a new beginning, not a return to the old corporate dream, but a reconstruction of values, dignity, perseverance, and respect for work, no matter the title."